It's just easier to marry a man and feel repressed and be in a prison because it's dealing with the rejection of the people you love most and the rejection of your community and the rejection of everything you've known and were brought up to be just sounds so much more daunting and painful than having to be like, hey, I'm gay.
Lauren said she has the tagline, so it's all you, baby.
All right. Hello, friends.
Hello, friends.
Hello.
And welcome to Pickles and Vodka, the mental health podcast where we got problems and we're kind of crazy, just like you.
Wow.
I am one of your co-hosts, Lauren.
I'm Christina, and I was not expecting to hear the C word in the tagline.
I was going for, you know, those, like, stupid magazine articles that are like, oh my god, here is America Ferrera buying toilet paper. Stars are just like us.
I mean, I'm not arguing with it.
Yeah.
And we have a guest today.
Hi.
Would you like to introduce yourself, say your name, pronouns, and maybe how you're connected to the show?
Yeah, so my name's Asteria, and I use she, they pronouns. I'm a they, as I say, or they-on-say if I'm feeling extra fancy. I am connected to the show via one of your previous hosts, or guests, I should say, not hosts.
Whoa.
So I'm so sorry. This is my first ever podcast. So I'm like, don't know the lingo.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll ignore that.
Yeah.
Challenge to authority.
Either that or someone just got promoted.
Don't tell them that.
Okay, but Orion and I did technically host a support group together for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you totally did.
Anyway, we're here to talk about you and not Orion.
Yes. Right. They can have their spotlight another time. So yeah, where should we start?
Well, let's start with your cat. Just kidding. Well, so Orion's been trying to get you on forever because apparently you have the best stories and a crazy past. And I know that we also have a lot in common in terms of the gender stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to hear about that too, obviously. But I guess we can start with childhood.
Oh, gosh.
Tell me about your childhood.
Oh, I know. Actually, my childhood was so saccharine. It was like the all-American picket white fence type of upbringing. Like, I grew up in northern Michigan, very rural. Like, my town has 600 people. There's a bar on one corner and a church on the other.
Okay, off the air, you're going to have to tell me what city.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And my parents are high school sweethearts.
Oh.
And they are about to celebrate their 45th wedding anniversary next month.
Oh, shit.
And they still call each other boyfriend, girlfriend, and they still slow dance in the kitchen together. And I had a younger brother growing up. And so, like, I really have I had a great upbringing. It was just very rural. And they still live there in the same house I grew up in. And so, yeah, as much as it was a really sweet upbringing, I grew up next to my grandmother. It was on one side of our house, and then my aunt was on the other. And I just used to spend days riding the bike down to the lake and eating ice cream at the Higgins ice cream shop that my family owns.
Oh my goodness.
Holy crap.
Also, do you want to dox yourself?
Oh, do I want to dox myself?
I don't know. You said your family owns an ice cream shop, and then you just named the ice cream shop.
Yeah, that's totally fine. No, it's totally fine. Yeah, no, I'm not like, yeah, it's totally cool.
You never know on Pickles and Vodka.
I know. No, it's totally cool. I'm very open public figure anyways, so yeah, I'm very open book in general.
So we outnumber Lauren.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry. I'm so mean to Lauren.
Cruel. Yes.
I know, Lauren, I feel like I don't know anything about you.
Well, I feel like I know something about you now because of the name you said. It's like, I'm thinking you grew up very near where my family vacationed when I was little.
Oh my gosh, no way. We need to talk off air.
Yep.
What a small world this is.
Also, I didn't even realize that I didn't ask you like what you wanted to talk about today. I know you sent a list of potential topics, but some guests, like, they come in and they're like, I want to talk about this. And then other guests, we just talk and see where the conversation goes. I didn't know if you have a preference.
No, I just kind of like to talk and see where it goes. Like, I feel like it's going to just happen organically. I feel like you said, there's so much intersecting thoughts and feelings about this world. And, like Orion has shared with you, like I've lived an odd life. Like, my childhood's the most boring part about me.
All right, we're going to cut all that because we're professional. I want to hear about your odd life.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I got married at a very young age to a fundamentalist Christian man when I was 18 years old. I'm going to fast forward through the horrors of which that was for me in my life. But it was a very significant realization of who I was as an individual and how I played a big role in hetero complacency and just kind of went around with the things that I thought were normal and were expected of me, especially since my parents were high school sweethearts. So in my head and in my world, it was very normal to like meet who you thought your one true love was going to be and like just kind of went along for this roller coaster ride of like what I thought marriage would be. And it ended up being very abusive and a very scary time for me. And, but in that world, I kind of started waking up and like really realizing that I was a very deeply closeted queer woman at that time and actually had a little bit of a love affair with my best friend at the time. And I ended up being her maid of honor in her wedding.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it could be a movie.
Oh, it is a movie. It should be a book. And it was my first big queer heartbreak, but it was all done very quietly and behind closed doors. It was devastating. And so
my heart hurts just thinking about it.
Oh my gosh. Like there was nothing worse than like being the maid of honor at your secret girlfriend's wedding in rural northern Michigan while, you're both like, I'm like actively married to a toxic man and she is like about to be married to a toxic man. And we're like,
oh God.
Oh my gosh, if the world was a different place, like 18 years ago, I think I would have had a very different experience. There was no language where I was from or even of that time to like really understand or explore who you were as an individual person. There was just one box and that was you didn't have a choice. You were in that box. You didn't get to be anything other than that.
Yeah, I can totally relate. I mean, obviously you've heard the podcast, I grew up very similarly. Like I used to pray for my future husband.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if it counts as closeted if you don't even know that you're queer, but I didn't know until I was in my 30s. Well, late 20s, I guess, but I didn't come out till my 30s. And it's interesting to hear about like your secret queer experience because that just adds an extra layer to it of just like heartbreak.
Yeah, it was really devastating. And even then, so I was divorced before I was 25. And so like I denied myself that privilege to like allow myself to investigate anything outside of, the heteronormative experience.
Not to interject, but you mentioned earlier hetero complacency.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if you could elaborate on that and, how it relates.
Yeah, it's something that like I've recently learned about because I'm also a late blooming queer. I actually didn't come out publicly until I was in my like early 30s, mid 30s even. And so one of the things I've learned is that hetero complacency is when people decide to go along the pathway of like, how we're in society expected to operate as a man or a woman in the very made up gender binary and how we're supposed to interact with each other. And so instead of having to challenge yourself or to stand up to the industrial complex of anything outside of that, it's just easier to go with the flow, essentially. It's just easier to marry a man and feel repressed and be in a prison because it's dealing with the rejection of the people you love most and the rejection of your community and the rejection of everything you've known and were brought up to be just sounds so much more daunting and painful than having to be like, hey, I'm gay. Like, it's.
Oh my God. Are either of you aware of the discourse going on right now about this essay a woman wrote about how she chose to be a lesbian?
No.
Oh my God. Everyone on Substack is a do about it. But like, yeah, this woman wrote a Substack about how she is choosing to be a lesbian, and a lot of people are really offended. Like, I didn't choose this. Like, I was trying so hard to be straight. Like you were saying, you feel repressed and maybe you feel like there's something wrong and you don't know, but you're trying so hard to like make it work. And like, of course, if I had known, I feel like that wasn't an option. So I couldn't choose it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I need to hear this essay.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know how it's written, but that's interesting because I feel like I had kind of similar thoughts. I don't know, probably something like 6 or 7 years ago. So it was a time when it would not be quite as difficult of a choice. And, you know, and also because like my thinking was like, I think it's very, very, very rare that any person is 100% hetero. I mean,
no,
I think I am real. Mostly, but yeah, but I'm just kind of like having this conversation. I can name 2 women that I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, if I thought they would have been into it, this is not the usual case for me, but I was in love with that woman. I would have, you know, given it a try.
Oh, that's really
but, you know,
sweet,
like, so it's kind of like knowing that is a, you know, a possibility within me, even if it's not my usual, then yeah, it was like, I thought of it like, just because I was at a point where I was like, God, men suck. Like,
yeah.
Like, maybe, yeah, right. And it was just kind of like, it's very, very rare that I run across a woman I feel this way about, but you know, like maybe I should just really try to find that one because men are sucking.
Well, they're still young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your life ain't over yet.
That's true. You ain't dead yet.
A lot of like what ended up being the ultimate breaking point, and here's where like some of the craziness I think comes in. And I don't think I'm the only one that has this lived experience, but kind of like going back to this younger, very formidable years where I don't even know who I am as an adult. And I'm married to this man who's forcing me to watch Sean Hannity every night. Like it was disgusting. But the big thing was I've always known I didn't want to have children. And you know, that's as a woman, you're not supposed to say that or think that or feel that.
Been there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have always been, and I'm going to say it, I've always been repulsed at the idea of having a child for myself.
Me too.
It's like a repulsive, like physical reaction to the thought.
Everything about it sounds awful to me.
I always fast forward childbirth scenes in movies.
Oh, same. But
I cannot bear it. But
I work with kids. Like on a daily basis. I love kids. I just didn't want to go through that for myself. And I've always known that. So like one of the big like boundaries I had set, and I didn't even know they were called boundaries back in the day because we didn't even say that, was that I would never have children. And he agreed to it. And the bubbling point of this relationship, when I finally did be able to get to myself at a point where I could get out of it, was he was like popping out my birth control pills.
Dual gasp.
He would go through my purse and then like I would hide them in the glove compartment of my car, and he would like go into my car at night and pop them out. And I had to go to my doctor, and at the time I didn't realize how important she would be in my life, but I had this female doctor, which where I'm from was unheard of. And I told her what was going on. And she said, we're going to secretly put an IUD in you. Whoa. And we did. So she secretly gave me an IUD and then continued to prescribe birth control pills for me so he wouldn't catch on to the fact.
What an angel.
I have a lot to be thankful for her for, and I wish I remembered her name. It was so long ago, and it was so many parts of that time in my life I've blacked out of my brain. And I just remember her and how important her role was in helping me gain freedom, because as much as I loved the people in my life, no one would listen to me. Like, no one was believing the things I was saying was happening behind closed doors, because he was this great upstanding guy in the community. And how could he do these horrible things, you know?
Right.
So then I finally get out, divorce this guy, and then, I go on with my life. I thought I was going to be a doctor, so I got my pre-med degree during this time and ended up working midnights in an emergency room. And I was a level 1 lab technician for 6 years.
What the fuck?
And yeah.
I had no idea.
I know. Ryan was not joking. I've had an odd life. So during this time of my marriage in my younger years, I had been going to school, and there was this overlap of me working in the trauma center. And I did this for 6 years, and it was level 1 trauma. So I saw death was a daily part of my life, unfortunately, and it's something I've seen a lot of. And there are lots of things I've seen that, really made me realize I did not want to work in the medical field. So I kind of had a quarter life crisis is what I called it. And I met a guy, as you do, and he was really sweet and wonderful. And he was heading to Australia. And so I was like, hey, if I quit everything, can I tag along? And he said, yes. So I ended up traveling the world with this guy, and we ended up being together for almost 9 years. And he's, our relationship has since ended, but he and I traveled the entire world and backpacked the world together and ended up in Portland. And he's still my best friend to this day.
Oh my God.
Wow. Yeah. I actually started picking back up performing because I've grown up a dancer. And so I worked in dinner theaters across Australia and New Zealand and Bali.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then I ended up here in Portland. And now, and in that time, I've also worked as a stripper. I ran a pole studio. I've been a pole dance instructor. I do burlesque, and I run a large dance center here in town. So I really can't complain about where my life has gone. It's been an odd trajectory of where I've landed in life.
I just want to know how you went from, being in a fundamentalist marriage to being a stripper, how do you even...
Right?
Just the confidence that's needed.
Well, it was kind of like a form of an act of rebellion and kind of self-acceptance for me. And this is obviously my own experience as to why I went into stripping for a while. Because, being in that fundamentalist Christian sphere, it's very horophobic. It's very anti-woman on every level, therefore anti-sex work, right? And so, when you're in that world, you're taught to hate yourself in general, and you're taught to not like your body, and you're not allowed to feel sensual. You're not allowed to feel sexual because then you're a whore. But you can't be too sweet. You can't be too pure because you got to be able to satisfy your husband.
Oh, of course.
Right? And so it's always this push and pull, and you're never right. You're never doing things right. You just can never do anything right. Without going into detail, and small trigger warning about SA is that my ex-husband had, SA'd me during this time. And when you go through that, for me personally, I went into stripping as an act of reclamation and embodying myself. And for the first time in what felt like my life, I felt like I had full control over my body and what I did with it.
What is that like?
It is so empowering. I got to set boundaries. I got to decide my schedule, what I looked like, who I sold services to, the songs I danced to. I got to decide what I did with my money, where I invested it, where I worked, how I was respected. And of course, there's a lot of like things in strip club culture where, you know, strippers are not respected a lot of times. But you do have a lot of autonomy. And I found that once I was able to start taking my clothes off, and then I could literally look at a man in the eye and say, you can't touch me, but you have to pay me. There is something very empowering about that.
That's pretty great. Not gonna lie. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I kind of thought that might be where it was going, because it's like you're not the first person that I've heard that has, you know, done stripping or done burlesque or anything like that, and literally said, yeah, that it's pretty much was like a way of like reclaiming myself. And that's, yeah, it's just cool.
Yeah, I feel like people that have not either knowingly met a stripper, I can almost guarantee everyone's met a stripper at some point. But like people that are not of that world or have an understanding or concept of that world have this false assumption that strippers are these poor women down on their luck and they just hate themselves and they have nowhere else to turn to. And my experience is mostly the opposite. And this is, again, just my personal experience. But most strippers I've worked with, for one, most strippers I work with are mostly non-binary and queer.
Maybe in Portland.
Yeah, I was going to say, again, I'm talking from very much, I'm in Portland, for those who didn't know. But
oh, yeah, sorry.
Stripper City. We have the largest per capita strip clubs than anywhere else in the United States.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, fun fact. So there is a huge strip club culture here. I understand it's also different from other places, right? It's very, what do you call it? I can't find my words here, where it's like contained to certain areas.
Oh.
Okay. Like cultural almost, depending on where you're at.
Oh, yeah, kind of like Seattle.
Yeah, like the strip club scene up in Seattle is going to look completely different than the one here. And then the one in...
Regional?
Regional, thank you. There's the word. Wow. So, you know, the Portland strip club scene definitely is very queer. I used to dance at this queer-only strip night. That was so fun. And it was only a queer identifying dancers. And that's always been really lovely to have because most places don't do a dedicated night to only cater to the queer community. Because a lot of people that go to strip clubs are also queer. And they want to see queer bodies.
Did you ever finish your story about how you like came out and stuff and like the evolution of your gender identity?
Oh my gosh. I didn't really talk about it, but yeah, my coming out was not this big ceremonial.
You didn't pass out invitations?
I'm out of the closet. Like some people think. Like,
well, to yourself even.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I guess when I fully accepted it, right? Because I always kind of felt it in my body. I didn't fully accept it, I think, until after my relationship with Julian ended. And Julian was the one who I traveled the world with. And, you know, he and I disillusioned our relationship for a lot of reasons. But a lot of it was due to both of us realizing our gender and sexual identities were not compatible and like having to have really tough conversations around like that I really love you as my friend now, but it's obviously not working romantically. And that was a really painful discussion to have. And I think that's really when I was just by myself, not dating anyone, and just gave myself time to figure out who I was. So it's a fairly recent development in my life that I even sat with those feelings outside of where I grew up and the people I grew up with, around other queer people that have already kind of figured themselves out. And then I was like, wait, it's okay to be queer. And I had to sit with those uncomfortable feelings and just spend that time like going to parks, reading books, hanging out with queer community, you know, being in those spaces and being like, wow, I've never felt so comfortable in my life in these spaces.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the stage I'm in right now. I'm like a little bit behind you in your journey, maybe a lot bit behind you, actually.
It's not one linear journey.
You're right. But that's what my inner voice tells me, that like I'm behind, that I'm inexperienced, because like I also am taking this time to be alone, like the last few years since I became disabled and like came out and everything. I'm just like not pursuing any romance at all. And that's very much by design. Part of it is because I'm taking time to discover myself, but a lot of it is also because I'm repressed as fuck. And that's something I'm not ready to delve into. One of my queer friends here invited me to a pole dancing class, and I said yes because they forced me. Was that?
Sorry.
Oh, that sounded like a rooster.
That's Taco. Someone must be like walking around outside that's freaking him out.
I mean, basically, yeah, I want to connect with that part of me, but it's so scary. And even when you talk about like stripping, I don't know, it makes me so uncomfortable picturing myself going to a strip club, and I don't know why.
You won't know unless you like dive into it, but I think, strip clubs, think about it, are typically set up for men, for the cis het male gaze. That's what they're set up for, and to service. Mm-hmm. So going in there as a queer person and being like, I want to buy a dance off you, like it feels awkward going in there to do that as anyone who is not a cis hetero man. But I'm going to tell you, as a dancer, we love it. We want to see different people in, and people that will respect us as people. And so like, if you choose to go on that journey for yourself, I would love to hear how you experienced it. But I'm more excited to hear that, like, did you take the pole class then?
No, I haven't yet. I just agreed to it.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you definitely should do that.
Pole is such a fabulous journey, because I used to manage a pole studio, and I hope that Orion's not upset that I'm saying this, but that's actually how we met back in the day.
Oh.
Orion was my pole student.
Oh my God, scandalous.
I know, but this was like years before we reconnected. We actually like disconnected from each other for years. But the thing with pole that I found for myself was it forces you to trust yourself. And like, that's the scary part about pole, is like, no one else can like pull yourself up on the pole. You have to trust yourself. And that's really scary. But also, once you do realize that you can do it, it's very empowering.
Yeah, that's what a friend was telling me last night, actually, that the first time they went to a pole dancing class, they saw someone like flip upside down with their legs pointed in the air. And they were like, man, I wonder how long it takes to do that. And the instructor was like, oh, you can do it today. And like, sure enough, you just have to trust your body. And like, that's really scary as well.
Yeah.
For people like us.
Yeah.
Not just queer, but like eating disordered.
Yeah, because that's where, like, I feel like when you were talking about it, you were kind of focusing on the idea. I mean, of course, there is a bit of a stigma that it's like, oh, pole dancing, it's like sexy, trashy, blah, 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 whatever. But because there's a huge crossover between aerial and pole dancing. So, like, that does not even register with me anymore, because I hear about so many people doing pole and it just seems like another form to me. And so yeah, that's why it was like, yeah, I was agreeing. I was just like, oh my gosh, I remember my first aerial class, and, it's kind of like doing the silks, and I managed to climb up like half a foot, and I was like, I'm the coolest person in the world.
And you feel so strong.
Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's amazing things that your body do, and you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah, it makes you realize how amazing we are. And like, I got to feel my own, like, I was like, when I felt powerful is when I felt sexy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't like, oh, I can like shake my booty and do amazing body rolls, and this is what like makes me feel sexy. What made me feel sexy was like being able to do the stuff that wasn't pretty, honestly.
Oh, like what? Like
climbing up the pole, hoisting yourself up upside down and holding yourself up. Like it's involves so much strength and confidence in yourself. and so much focus that like after you achieve doing something like that, you're like, damn, that's hot.
If I can give a little flex here. So
please do.
My last aerial class, we have been just touching on if people want to learn toe hangs and heel hangs. So the last class, I felt like I was close on the heel hang, and it is, you know, I'm doing the lyra, the hoop, and it's hanging from the bottom of it, just from the bar, just from your heels. And it was like, I did it the last class. I managed to, you know, like completely let go and hang for all of like 1.5 seconds. But yes, it was the same thing. It was just like, I just hung from my heels on a bar.
How does that even work?
That's amazing. That is such a hard hold too. I have friends that do lyra, and those holds, like most people can't do those. So that's amazing.
Yeah, that's why I was like, even just for like a split second letting go, I was just kind of like, I've been riding that high all week.
Wait, Lauren, I'm actually really curious because you've never really talked about this on the show, but how does your aerial practice affect your relationship with your body?
Oh, that's like all the stuff I was thinking about as Asteria was just talking, because it is like I was thinking how it's probably the first time in my life that my main goal is I want to be strong. I'm happy to be strong because, you know, I don't know if you would agree because people all come to it differently. But at least for me, someone, you know, growing up like eating disordered for several years, it was like I had no interest in being strong because, you know, muscles, bulk, bigger, ew, who cares? So, you know, it is really cool to just be like, no, what I'm excited about is that. And yeah, having strength in my body doing things. And also it's really cool in my studio to see like all the different people. I mean, there's all different body sizes there. There's all different ages. There's men, there's women, there's trans men and women, you know, it's everything. And it's just like, yeah, everyone can do it.
Yeah, like if you go into any sort of like aerial space and you don't see diversity, run away.
Right.
There's a problem there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool. I agree. It's just such a you'll have to report back to us after you take the class. I want to hear all about your experience.
I will.
Me too. I'm really excited now.
God, I'm like sweating just thinking about it.
Oh my gosh.
Just being perceived by people doing something I'm not good at, which I hate to do things I'm not good at.
Okay, so I talk about this all the time. So I've been a dance teacher for 20 years. I just celebrated my 20th year.
Congrats.
No, thank you. Nobody is perceiving you. Everyone is concerned that everyone else is perceiving you, and nobody is. Everyone is so terrified in that moment that actually everyone is super focused on themselves. And what happens in those types of environments is it actually becomes a container to uplift people, and it's a very celebratory space. I have never been in a pole space or an aerial or circus space or even the dance spaces I cultivate, because I do that intentionally, where people are not being uplifted with each other. And I also think that it's very important, especially as we get older, as adults, is that we don't lose our sense of whimsy and play and find places where we can be bad at things and have fun at being bad at something.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, like I think we need to be more messy, and we should allow ourselves to like do things that are either uncomfortable in our bodies or unknown to us, because that's what keeps us curious. And I think that's important to keep.
Yeah, and I was going to chime into the like uplifting part. I can't remember if I talked about this. So I did take part in my studio, you know, does like some shows, and I like took part in the first one that I ever have in October. And I loved that what one of the instructors, you know, was emceeing the show. And she comes out beforehand and instructs the audience. She's like, now I'm going to teach you guys how to be a good aerial audience. She's like, so you pretend like someone just did a really cool trick. Everybody scream and clap and yell. And it's like, that's what they do. It's so cool. They encourage it.
Aww. I used to ride motorcycles and like go to like women only motorcycle campouts in the woods, and like there would be burlesque dancers at them. So that was like, I'm not a dancer. I don't dance, especially not in public. That's one of the few times I felt safe like dancing in my life, was in the woods surrounded by a bunch of drunk women. Like,
yes.
And yeah, it was just so beautiful.
Yeah, that's so interesting that you brought up like the motorcycle camping with the burlesque performers there. That's like actually a historical thing in burlesque.
Really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
I don't know what the phenomena is or what the crossover is, but I have read several memoirs of burlesque legends and like modern day burlesque performers that have talked about performing at like motorcycle rallies and stuff. So
oh my God.
I know. I don't know what the actual correlation is, but I have read several memoirs that have talked about it. And I'm like, that's something I have not done yet, but I may have to put it on my do-it list someday.
Yes. Well, make sure you don't do it at a rally. Well, I don't know. You do whatever you want. But the motorcycle community is full of asshole men.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
I have actually never ridden with men. I've only ridden with other like women and non-binary people.
That's cool, though.
Actually, yeah, one of the first trans people that I befriended on Instagram was I met in the motorcycle community, actually, now that I think about it. Oh my God, and she said she would be on the podcast forever ago, and it's never happened.
Well, I guess time to hit her up.
Wow. Yeah, I'm always hitting up people randomly to be on the podcast after years of radio silence. And it's very awkward. And they always like, oh yeah, sure. And then nothing happens for another few years. So Asteria, you all actually came on here relatively quick. I know we've been talking about this for months, but it could be worse. Also, this is just your first appearance.
Oh, yeah. May there be future.
Yes.
I feel like we're going to have to do like a follow-up one to this like essay you were talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're going to have some deep thoughts around that.
We can totally do that. But I don't know. I just loved sitting here listening to you talk. I'm trying to think if I have any more questions.
Okay, so like some of my fear has been like just talking about nothing and just blacking out.
I mean, we do a lot of that too. It's great. It's fine.
Gosh, I don't know. I could talk about so many things. I just feel like I have so many thoughts and feelings around things.
You know, we haven't even talked about mental health explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which, we're 48 minutes in, go us. But I'm wondering what your mental health, like how it's changed over the years, and like what your current mental health practice is like.
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like I've repressed a lot in my life. And I've like very much been, especially the earlier parts of my life, I feel like I didn't want to acknowledge depression or feeling depressed, especially during my, young 20s. Because at that time, it's really, I wasn't allowed to like really talk to people outside of my husband's family and his friends and my family. I wasn't even allowed to have my own friends. And so at that time, I did seek out therapy for the first time, and it was a very horrifying experience.
Was it a Christian therapist?
It was a Christian therapist.
Yeah, I've had a few of those.
Oh my gosh. And it just, I had ran away from home twice, and he was like, we need to get a marriage counselor. I picked someone out for us. And of course I was like, I don't want to do this, but I'll go. And so we go, and it was very disguised as like what you would expect a therapist's office to look like. And then the therapist sat me down and asked me what my problems were in the relationship and why I felt that I needed to run away. And so as I'm talking, he interrupts me mid-sentence and he goes, I think I know the problem. The problem is you are not complacent to your husband.
What?
And you are not providing to your husband. And so maybe you should do a better job of opening up and, serving him. And that was my first therapy experience.
Oh my God, my jaw's on the floor.
I know.
Was being told that I needed to be an obedient wife.
Well, and that's a thing. It drives me fucking crazy because women are being told this, and it is framed as your fault and your problem. And I don't know. I spent so many nights just begging for God to help me be a better, servant or daughter or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know because I had no identity back then.
Right. You don't have an identity, which is what they want you to not have an identity. So you stay.
Yeah, that is emotional abuse.
So there was that. And so that really put a bad taste in my mouth with the word therapy. And again, I grew up in a very rural area. So therapy was also something you didn't do. Why would you go? So even when I was going through working in the level 1 trauma center, that was a time in my life where I deeply needed help. Not only was I going through these personal changes in my life and dealing with, this crazy fundamentalist Christian world, but I was also dealing with seeing really horrific things nightly and seeing death all the time. And at least then in the, early 2000s, we weren't given the option to go talk to a therapist. You just kind of dealt with it. And we got really close as a family in the ER when we worked together. It was this really intense form of trauma bonding, literally in a trauma center.
Mm-hmm.
And we were so inseparable that we would, do dinners together, potlucks, parties, brunches. We were always together, even when we weren't at work. And we had a really morbid sense of humor.
Oh my God, it's the inverse of your church relationships. Because then you were only allowed to be with those people.
Right. And by the time I was fully in this trauma world, I had left my husband. So now my world has reversed in a lot of ways. And so there was an incident. What happened was when I was working in the trauma center, I was repressing a lot of the things I was experiencing, and I didn't have anyone in my life to talk to about the things I was witnessing and seeing on a daily basis. And so I just repressed myself to the point where I was really numb and almost incapable of really feeling empathy outside of work or even in work. And it was a survival thing. You can't.
Yeah, I was going to say, What's your other option?
Yeah, you can't be empathetic to everything you see. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to function. And so there was an incident that happened that resulted in me having a full mental breakdown. And I remember getting into my car. It was my 6th day in a row of working 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. But it actually, because of the incident that happened, I was actually at work for a full 14 hours. And I remember getting into my car and I just stared at the steering wheel and I cried, hysterically wept for hours, gasping, heavy breathing, screaming. It just all came out of me. And I was like, I have to quit. And that was when I was like, okay, I'm going to Australia, whether you like it or not.
As one does.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm lucky it worked out for me. But instead of dealing with my emotions and the things I was witnessing, I went to Australia. And let me tell you, you can't outrun your problems no matter how far you go.
I've heard that.
I've low-key fantasized about moving to New Zealand. I'm just but I would still be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though you go somewhere else, everything follows you. And then because I just got up and left, I was so depressed. I've been a high functioning depressive person for so long. And I just really had never allowed myself to deal with it. And so I distracted myself with traveling and seeing the world and having all these wild backpacking experiences and meeting people around the world. And then when COVID hit, when we ended up back in the United States and then had only been in the States for a few months and then COVID hit, that's when everything came to a screeching halt for me. And I was like, oh, I am not well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was really hard too. And I'm sure a lot of people felt that too, that suddenly the world kind of stopped and it forced us all to isolate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, like everything you've been pushing through is suddenly just like right there in front of you and you got to deal with it.
Yeah, you had to learn to like sit with your feelings and feel it.
I was watching a documentary about the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and how like the reason they made this documentary was because all of the survivors are in their like 90s. And so there's not going to be any survivors soon. And so they were all just giving their accounts when they were kids. And I was thinking, is that going to be COVID someday? Like someone sits us down in our 90s and asks us what it was like. I mean, obviously it's not nearly the same thing as an atomic bomb. That's God, I'm just going to shut up now.
No, but like we don't talk about like
it's traumatic.
Yeah, the traumatic effects of
still is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still there. COVID hasn't left. It's here still. And it's not just COVID. It's, I distinctly remember 9/11 happening and, the genocides happening overseas right now in Gaza. And like, there's so much wild trauma. It's just been one thing after another. And now all the traumas are overlapping. And it's like you can't come up for air.
No. And there's no relief in sight either. I mean, a lot of people like me are just kind of opening our eyes to the reality. Like, it's always kind of been this way. At least in this country, but yeah, it's like everyone collectively going through it on our phones and like feeling powerless and overwhelmed.
Yeah. How do I have the right to take care of myself? Why should I have the right to like center myself and take care of myself? But in the reality, like we kind of have to, and in order to, support our communities and be there for each other. I mean, humanity's always kind of done it. And especially queer people, like we've always had to make our own communities and we've always had to create our own joy and our own safe spaces. And I mean, that's what we're going to continue to do because we don't really have a choice.
No. And how has your queer community there impacted your mental health / like impacts your mental health?
I am the healthiest I've probably ever been. I was just saying this the other day. For the first time in my life, like I feel like I really have stepped into who I am as a person and I really know who I am and the people that I'm surrounded with. I can't name one person that is my friend that wouldn't go to the ends of the earth for me and vice versa. Like I've truly cultivated a family of really beautiful people in my life and we really do take care of each other. And because we take care of each other, I feel good. I sleep at night for the most part, other than when I start thinking about the horrors of the world. But like, I'm actually eating well and sleeping and taking care of others and taking care of myself. And, I have a really great relationship still with my family, even though I'm out. And even that was a funny story because it's not like I went to my parents and were like, hey, I'm gay. It was kind of like, so here's my partner. And they're like, oh, we love your partner. And there's never this actual talk.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's like, kind of nice though.
Yeah. I never had this. And it wasn't until recently that my mom, for the very first time, said that she loves me and that my queerness is okay, like to verbally say it. Like it's always been okay, but for my mom to say that she loves me and she really, is happy for me and where I'm at in my life was a validation I didn't know I needed. And I'm 38.
Crying.
Like, I didn't get that till 38.
And some people never get that. Like, that's just so beautiful.
It is, and it's a gift, and my dad feels that way, and my aunts feel that way, and I'm very, very lucky that I have a family that everything was set up to, like, be against me and to reject me, but instead it's been the opposite experience, and I'm very lucky for that. And I don't disregard that. And so mentally, I'm in a place where I never thought I could be. I'm safe and I'm happy with my body, even though it's raging war against me constantly. But I still love my body, and I love the things it does for me and does for others. And I honestly don't think I've been in a better place in my entire life.
It's amazing.
It's possible, folks.
It's possible. You can be happy. You can be loved, and you can give love. And it's possible. It's very possible.
It's the most controversial thing anyone's ever said on the podcast.
What? That there's hope.
Just coming in here and stirring the pot.
There's hope. And I'm not saying I'm happy every day, because that's not realistic, right? Like, I still have to deal with the things I've experienced and the things that, you know, I've seen. But now I'm surrounded by people that will hold that and not judge me for those things that I've experienced. And that's life-changing.
Seriously.
And I was thinking, like, it's never too late either. Like, you don't have to be discouraged because, like, I'm miserable when I'm 25. And so this is just, I'm sure this is my lot in life forever. It's like, yeah, maybe you won't find happiness till your 30s or 40s or 60s, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and same with, like, figuring out, you know, your queerness. One, queerness changes. It's fluid. You know, how I identify now may be different in a year, you know, or how I feel will change from, you know, we always change. So you just never really know. And so I just don't think it's ever too late to, you know, find yourself and re-find yourself. And, you know, that's kind of like keeping that whimsy, just being open to the change and embracing the change and just staying true to your own boundaries and values. And, you know, it's never too late. It's never too late, and no one's ever behind.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You feel like you're behind, but that's not a thing.
It's not even society all the time. It's often just ourselves putting this pressure. Not that I know what that's like, but, you know, it's like, what does any of this matter? Like, what am I trying to prove? I don't know. It's just so nice to remember that things are fluid and life is just random sometimes, but also we have more control than we think we do also, like in terms of the people we hang out with and the choices we make. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't have taken that risk and gone to Australia, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really wasn't thinking at the time. I was in crisis when I did this. But
of course.
Well, it's possible to make good choices when you're in crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it took for me to quit my toxic job. And it turned out to be a good choice, but like, I didn't know that. I was suicidal.
Yeah, and sometimes you just got to lean into the messiness and the unknown of it all and just ride that wave out and see what happens.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
This was so great. I could keep talking to you for hours, but I wanted to make sure you got a chance to, I don't know if you want to tell people where they can find you or...
Oh yeah, I'm such an Instagram girly. So if people want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Asteria Atom Bomb. And then also, like, I'll send you some pictures if you wanted to put my face up.
You're such a great guest. I was literally just going to be like, hey, so, am I going to have to hunt these pictures down?
No, I'll just send them to you.
Oh my God.
I've already jotted it down. I'm going to try and follow you on Instagram.
Yay! We have so much more to talk about, too. This is not the last time. This is just the first time.
No, you're part of the Pickles and Vodka family now.
Oh my gosh, I'm so honored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I never know how to end these.
Yeah. How about stay true to you?
I love it. Christina hates it.
That was corny.
I love it.
It was corny. It's stupid. Just ignore me. I'm just talking now.
No, it's perfect. Goodbye.
Bye.
If you like what you heard, tell a friend about the podcast. You can send them to picklesandvodka.substack.com, where they can listen to our entire catalog and find our newest merch. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us a voice message at speakpipe.com/picklesandvodka. My personal Instagram is at xtinajumper, and Lauren's is at Lauren3_AFH. We'll see you next week.
Okay, so wait. You got to tell me where you're from.
It's not recording anymore.